Amy, so nice to see you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about doing this podcast with you.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things to talk about, and there's a lot to unravel because I think a lot of us are a mess, and we need a little bit of guidance. Um, but before we kind of get into fitness and nutrition and how we can kind of get on a better holistic path, a whole life path for ourselves, especially as we are heading into middle age. I want to know more about you, and the audience needs to know more about you, so there's context. So what do you do? Because I know you're a pharmacist, and I know you kind of are from the pharma world. So tell me a little bit about that journey and how it's brought you to where you are today.
So it's really interesting how where I am, where I started, how it's kind of all ebbed and flowed. So I will start like back in high school, senior year, going to college. I got into aerobics and back, I'm going to age myself. Jane Fonda, leotards, leg warmers, big hair, you get the picture. And I fell in love with that. I was a dancer, I played sports, and I needed something that was, I hate to say it, keep me in shape, not gaining the freshman 15. That was my biggest goal, was like, okay, I'm not going in, I'm not gaining the freshman 15. So I fell in love with aerobics. I became an aerobics instructor while going to pharmacy school. So that was a pretty good gig to teach and make money, and that helped me get through pharmacy school. It was awesome. So when I graduated pharmacy school, I didn't stop. I continued on my pharmacy journey plus my fitness journey. The issues with the fitness journey didn't start popping up until maybe in my later 20s. And I was working full time as a pharmacist. I would teach all the time. I also became a personal trainer at that time. And I became what's called an exercise addict. And you wouldn't think, or at least I didn't think, when someone said, my doctor said that you're an exercise addict. I'm like, well, there could be worse things. I'm not a cigarette smoker. I'm not addicted to drugs. So how is that so bad? What happened was, why it was so bad is because I blew my back out at 29. I
Wow.
ruptured a disc, had to have L5S1, which I'm sure lots of your listeners are understanding of L5S1 because it's big. Sciatica is one of the number one issues that we have in midlife with pain, and end up having to have surgery. You would have thought that would have curtailed what I call my exercise addiction, aka cardio bunny, aka doing hours of cardio and working out with my clients. It didn't. As soon as I was able, I was back up teaching lots of classes again. What I didn't understand also was the nutritional aspect. I dieted forever. Started probably my first diet, I think, when I want to say it's about seventh grade. I remember the binge of Oreo cookies. That's what I remember, is that feeling like I needed to be skinny, starving, binging on a whole thing of Oreo cookies. And then from there on, it was whatever diet was in Teen Magazine or Cosmo or anything like that. So I started to really start looking at nutrition. But the problem with looking at nutrition back in the 90s, late 90s, we still didn't know a lot. We still thought at that time it was, hey, fat-free, snack wells, eat whatever you want as long as it's
Right.
fat-free and you'll be fine. And then we
Right.
realized that, no, it's not. We're gaining weight, and now we're seeing more issues with diabetes, and we don't know what's going on, but it was heart attacks. And so ebbing and flowing and doing pharmacy, and fast forward several years, starting to really realize that nutrition was the missing link, that there has to be something going on, that cardio wasn't doing for me. Nutrition has to do something, but I still couldn't get all the pieces together. And it wasn't until several years ago, going through perimenopause, where my body started changing like crazy. I no longer could out exercise and do cardio forever and teach all my classes and do my job and feel and look good. Actually, feeling was horrible. So migraines, pain, joint pain, and then the inches increasing. And then also, while I was doing my pharmacy, I'm a long-term care pharmacist. I'm a board certified geriatric pharmacist, and I am a consultant, and I go into nursing homes, was the increase of seeing comorbidities deal with nutrition. And seeing the population of the age population in the nursing homes getting lower and lower and lower. I mean, it used to be 80s and 90s, and now I'm seeing people with my birth date or lower or
What?
earlier or later. Yeah. So Generation
Why?
X people, we're seeing this because of lifestyle and nutrition. These are diseases that could be prevented. So it was kind of like an aha moment. Here I am trying everything possible to try to lose inches and tried the keto, I was just trying everything and nothing was working. It wasn't until I started put everything together with nutrition wise and understanding whole food nutrition, understanding that it's not about the cardio, it's about adding muscle. And I don't like saying balancing hormones because you can't balance them, but you can optimize them. So optimizing our hormones, and we can live our best life. And it had to have that flip of the switch in my head that it's not just about the gene size. Do we want the gene size? Absolutely. But it's not about the number on the scale. We now got to look at it as a bigger picture. We need to look at it as disease prevention. We need to look at it that we are eating, yes, to get a certain size, a certain look, but it goes so far beyond that. And when I started putting all of that together, and the triad, it was like the nutrition, the fitness, the pharmacy, when that all came together, it was like the aha moment. It's like, okay, I got to do this for me, one for perimenopause and menopause, because I don't like feeling fluffy. I want to feel amazing. I want energy. I don't want this pain. I don't want this brain fog. But I also need to do it so that I don't end up as a resident in one of my nursing homes.
Right.
And that's where it all kind of just all came together. So now I am both what I call a nutrition fitness coach, because I still am a fitness professional, and I coach clients. And then I'm also a pharmacist. So what I love is that I can put all this together and hopefully create a good experience and a good package with information that's not just fluff. That's just not saying, hey, let's lose 10 pounds in 10 days, and then get frustrated at the fact that it comes back plus more in 12 days.
Right.
And
I
that's where I
think
am.
there has to be a fundamental shift, right? Into the way that we look at it and the way that we approach it. There's so much, and I think that there's a lot of, I feel like there's like this underground movement happening, right? Where, or I want to believe so, that we're doing more of a holistic approach to our health, right? That it's a whole body, it's a whole lifestyle approach, and it's not just about, like you say, it's not just about taking the pills or just going on keto or, like, running for 4 hours a day, or that it really needs to be this kind of balanced approach and stuff. So let me
There really is. I wish it was more accepted. I wish the holistic approach was gaining momentum faster than when we've seen it. We've seen an injection that's available right now, and the momentum that gathered so quickly. I wish we could do the same thing for holistic approach.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, you're seeing it on the front lines, right? When you start seeing
Correct.
people who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s in a nursing home because they're unable to take care of themselves, that should be a wake-up call for everybody,
And it's lifestyle. So I hate to say it, yes, there's always other issues. But when you start seeing gangrene, kidney failure, loss of eyesight due to diabetes is one of the things. When you start seeing strokes at earlier ages, we do know colon cancer is pretty much 90% preventable. It's our lifestyle and our diet has caused these things, that it's just crazy when I see people with these lifestyle diseases coming in because they can no longer do what's called ADLs, adult daily living. They can no longer take care of themselves. And I don't care what anybody says. I love my residents. I love my facilities, but that is not home. That's just not living. It's almost existing.
Right. Right. No, 1000%. And that terrifies me, actually, just hearing you say it. And then, of course, they're in these nursing homes and they're taking a huge cocktail of meds, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. And it's once you start with one medication, and that's what people don't understand, is that a lot of times, and I don't want to bash medication. I am a pharmacist who prefers you not to be on medication, but there are purposes for medication. But know that medication doesn't mean a cure. Medication means a treatment. And then with the medication, there's also side effects. There is not one medication out there that doesn't have side effects. But when you start with one medication, diabetes, you're going to get what's called possibly metabolic syndrome. And that means there's heart disease. That means there's cholesterol issues. So not only do you start taking medication for diabetes, you're taking medication for high blood pressure, you're taking medication for cholesterol. Those have side effects. So you're taking medication for those side effects. And it's just this constant barrage of medication. And I used to have, when I first started long-term care consulting a long time ago, our average medications were maybe about 8 or 9 per person, which is still a lot. You're thinking, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My residents that come in now, 25 to
What?
30. Yeah. Because you're not just on one medication for diabetes, high cholesterol, or high blood pressure. You're on 2 to 3 for each condition that they're being treated for. And once again, it's not a cure, it's a treatment. Once you're on it, you're going to be on it unless you do something different. Unless you're able to, I won't say reverse time, but you can reverse certain disease states. You can make them better. You can make it so that you're not so dependent on medication.
Right, right. And so, okay, so we've made that decision, right? So someone has come in and said, I don't want to be like this anymore, or I want to prevent, the debilitating effects of perimenopause, or, what other illnesses that start to pop up as we age. A lot is heart disease and cholesterol, just a lot of the things that you mentioned, diabetes. What is kind of, because it can be very overwhelming, right, to change your entire lifestyle and the way that you've been living for the last 40, 50, 60 years, right? So we can't expect people to change overnight. So
No.
what are some of the small steps, or what are some of the first things that people can do once they've decided, okay, I don't want to live like this anymore?
Well, that's the biggest thing. The first thing is to say, I'm done. The first thing is to say, I do not want to live this way anymore. And I am going to identify myself as a healthy person. So start changing the belief system, because sometimes we do what's called get analysis paralysis. Went to the doctor, got the diagnosis, go on Google. Oh my gosh, there's so much out there. I don't even know where to start. So let's start simple. And I always tell people, don't be afraid to get help. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself with a coach, with somebody that's going to help you walk side by side, because we can't do all of this alone. I have a coach. For me, it's like we have to have people that help us. So the first thing that you can do is cut out ultra processed foods. And you're like, okay, so what's ultra processed foods? There's processed foods everywhere. What's the difference? So a processed food would be like your bag salad. Okay, that's not so bad. Your ultra processed food is your hamburger helper. I'm gonna throw some things under the bus too. Lean cuisine, Weight Watchers meals, Healthy Choice. Those are also ultra processed foods. They have lots of sodium. Think about anything that has additive chemicals, additive preservatives, added colorings. If it's not real food, all real ingredients, then there is some kind of process. And when you start getting into all the other really, I'm going to say craptastic ingredients, that is your ultra processed food. Ultra processed food does your body absolutely nothing. Now, is it okay to enjoy a cookie every once in a while? Absolutely, because we don't want to deprive. But if your diet is 90% of this fast food, ultra processed foods, now you're talking about chronic inflammation. Now you're talking about things that promote disease, that promote the aging process. And I know all of us, Generation X, baby boomers, we don't want to look our age. I don't care what age I am. I just don't want to look or feel old. I want to feel vibrant and young. And by eating real foods, meaning your vegetables, your fruits, your grains, your meats, eating whole foods, real foods, not processed, you're going to be able to take back your life, take back time in a way, because you are going to look better. And then you're also going to decrease that chronic inflammation. And that's a huge, huge start. And it's just baby steps. So sometimes maybe it's your breakfast is different. You're not going for the bagel, or you're not going for the donut or the sugar cereal. But so you decide to have eggs. You decide to have whole grain toast. Maybe you're having some fruit with it. So it's just, and then Then the next week you start adding something different for lunch. You're not going through the drive-through. You're actually making yourself something. It takes time. It does. It's not easy to change who you are, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And starting with real food is one of the best things that you can do.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. What do you say to people who don't cook though, that have been eating these boxed meals, for years? I mean, I feel like there are, like, just like you said, right? There's a scale of ultra processed to processed, right? And there's a lot of things in between. Like I see in Whole Foods or, some of these supermarkets, they all have their processed foods, but some of them are like, the meal kits or whatever. It's about, like you said, it's like learning how to read the label also,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And that's something I do with my clients. So there are so many options today of you don't want to cook. And you really don't have to cook. You don't have to be this gourmet person who does 5 courses. You can think things can be, I honestly subscribe to the KISS method. Keep it simple, silly or stupid, whatever you want to say, because it doesn't have to be hard. And yes, there are some things that are processed that are still healthy. So you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, this is going to take me hours and I don't want to meal prep. I don't like to meal prep either. I do what's called meal planning. I know what we're eating for the week. And that's why I say it's so important sometimes to work with somebody, because they can help you. They can help you if you go to Costco. Okay, so here's some tips to get at Costco or Sam's or your grocery store. If you don't want to cook at all, there are so many chefs out there who do it for you now. Whether it be local or if it's something that actually comes to you delivered. So there are so many different options out there to eat healthy. The one thing I would say to stay away from is, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. So if somebody says, oh, well, all I have to do is drink this shake twice a week or twice a day and have these little packets of food and it's all done for me. It's too good to be true. Look at the ingredients. What's in those shakes? What is in those packets? If it's ultra processed, lots of chemicals, okay, yeah, you're going to lose weight, but remember, we're talking about what's going on with your body. Your body is a major chemistry lab. There are chemical reactions going all the time, and you got to fuel your body so those chemical reactions can occur.
Right. Exactly. So I have a simple rule where if there's anything that has like sucrose or fructose, these are all sugars, right? And they disguise them with different names. If it has it in there, it just means that it has sugar in them. And if you can't pronounce the ingredient, you should not be eating it. That's true.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah, and that's the easy way to say it, because it's like if you can't pronounce it, you don't have a chemistry degree, and if it says OSE more than likely is a sugar, some kind of sugar. But at the same point, if it says no sugar added, or if it has Splenda or Equal, those aren't good for you either. So it's definitely education, and I want people to not feel overwhelmed. You're going to learn something new every single day. And some things are going to be mind-blowing. Some things are like, I didn't even realize that. And that's okay, because I don't expect anybody to be an expert in label reading or expert in cooking food on day one. The whole idea is to take baby steps. So first you start with eating real foods, and now every day you increase by 1%. I love James Clear. If you haven't read Atomic Habits, it's one of the best books out there about just identify with yourself who you are. So you want to be healthy, and then you want to improve that by 1% every day. And that little addition is crazy at how things can progress. And people are like, oh, I can't believe that 1% is going to do anything. It's amazing as you go through it every single day, it adds up, and before you know it, there's something that just snaps, or it's an aha moment, and you're like, I feel better. The fogginess is going away. Or you go to the doctor and your labs come back. Your A1C, which is something that is a snapshot of your blood sugar, comes down. Your blood pressures come down. It's amazing what happens, that people don't realize how bad they felt until they start feeling good.
Right. Absolutely. Totally agree. So when you talk about 1%, It's hard to measure, right? And a lot of people hate math. So so if I'm like, I eat a lot of processed foods and now I'm trying to get off of it, um, what would you say, like, what composes 1%?
Let's pick one thing per day. So, or one thing for the week. So let's work on your first meal of the day. Let's work on that breakfast. Let's work on that. And we're going to nail it for maybe 1 to 2 weeks. And every day it gets a little bit better. You're like, hey, I like this breakfast. Hey, this is working with me. And then once you have that, let's try the next meal. So now we got breakfast all under control. Let's try the next meal. And after that, let's go for dinner. And then we can also go for when we go out to eat. That's, it's not saying that you can't go out to eat. It's like, okay, what better choices can I make if I go out to eat? And then maybe it's somebody who I have to have a candy bar every day. Well, maybe that becomes every other day and then every third day. There's so many things that you can do but do it one thing at a time. The biggest mistake that people make is that they go, I got to do everything. I got to work out. I got to eat clean. And then it becomes so overwhelming, or it's changing who you are too quickly that you go back to your old ways that are comfortable.
Right, exactly. And I think that it's kind of the same philosophy around dieting, right? So 95% of diets fail. And that's a lot of it is because, right, we're doing it from so extreme that there's no way that it's a sustainable lifestyle when you feel like you're restricting yourself. As soon as you feel like you're restricting yourself, it's like almost impossible to sustain it forever.
It's
right?
the 2-year-old in all of us who are kicking and screaming and having our temper tantrum. If it doesn't, and that's the thing with nutrition, it has to be food that you like. I can tell somebody, you should eat salmon, you should eat this, and like, I can't eat fish, I can't do it. Then it's not going to work for you. So we got to do something that works with your palate. You may have to change a little bit and change some palates, but we need to do things that will work with you, not against you, because we want this to set you up for the rest of your life, not just for a period of 10 days, 20 days, whatever. We want this to be lifelong. This is a lifelong journey.
Exactly. And I love the idea. Before we got on, we were talking about breakfast and the fact that we both pretty much the same breakfast every day. And I think that really helps clear the path to, less decision making, less overwhelm. This breakfast is nutritious. And then, your food shopping is easier. I mean, would you recommend that to people? Just kind of choosing that one breakfast that you like, that you can eat, 5 to 7
absolutely. Days. And I know I have clients who are foodies, like, I can't eat the same thing every day. If you're something who can keep it simple and you're like, okay, I can eat the same breakfast, same lunch every single day and being fine, and maybe just taking some things that are changing and turning it around just so that maybe add a little variety, or I call it seasons. So it's grilling season here. So our dinners are a lot of times made on the grill just because that's the way it is, and in the winter it might be more soups. So you can change things out and keep things simple. It's like, my breakfast is the same every day. Some days, if I need more carbohydrates because of how I track macronutrients, which is protein, fat, and carbohydrates. I'll add more blueberries and on that day, or add more raspberries. So, but for the most part, and here's my breakfast. I do 2 eggs, and yes, I eat eggs every day. Eggs do not hurt your cholesterol. Let me repeat that. Eggs do not hurt your cholesterol. I love it when someone goes to the doctor and they say, oh, your cholesterol's high, get rid of the eggs, but they don't talk about the sugar, they don't talk about the alcohol, they don't talk about the processed foods, they talk about the eggs.
Yeah.
It kills me. So 2 eggs. I have a whole grain gluten-free bread that I use with avocado. And then I have a plant-based protein cereal. And that's my breakfast every single day. And then I add different kinds of fruit with it. And it's my happy place. I can think I'm Winnie the Pooh that time where I'm just dancing with my breakfast every day.
That's awesome. So we get our nutrition, right? We start to slowly take minor steps towards fixing and creating better habits around nutrition. What happens to those people who just don't like to exercise? They just can't get up off the couch. What do you recommend for people who really need to get that movement going, to get that blood flowing every day?
So a couple different things. One, the don't like to exercise, I think a lot of it comes back from the day when we thought we had to work out for 2 to 3 hours a day. And I just don't have time. I can't go to the gym. It's all the excuses start coming up. It's like, this is just ridiculous. 30 minutes. 30 minutes is what you need. If you are just beginning, walking is probably one of the best things. And can you walk for 30 minutes? Maybe, maybe not. But that's about 1% better. So today you start with 5 minutes. The next time you start with 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Before you know it, you're going to be walking. The other thing that you need to focus on is actually building muscle. And women, I'm going to tell you right now, you are not going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. It is not possible. And especially in peri and menopause, when we start losing estrogen and our fat starts moving from our hips and thighs to our stomach area, adding that muscle adds our metabolism. And so it is the one thing that we can do to combat that fluffiness. Now, once again, you have to have a plan. And you don't just go, oh, I'm going to lift up weights every single day, 2 to 3 times a week. The other thing that you need is what's called active recovery. So whether it's yoga, a light bike ride, because the mistake that we made growing up is that we thought we had to leave it all on the floor. Or even today, I have clients who come to me and they're doing the extreme programs every single day and not understanding why they're not getting results. When you're not getting results because you're increasing your inflammation and you're really messing up your hormones because you are increasing cortisol, which is not our friend. Cortisol is a great hormone in small amounts, but it's also a pig. So when we allow it to go out of control, it goes out of control. But the problem with cortisol is now you're looking at the fluffiness around the middle, which is exactly what we don't want. And then doing that kind of workout every single day actually puts stress on our thyroid too, which is exactly what we don't want in these later years. So starting out gentle, starting out with the plan and understanding that you don't have to go hard every day, that you don't have to work out for hours every day. And once again, sometimes it's best to invest in yourself and get a trainer or a coach or somebody that can get you on a plan. Sometimes it's just having that plan that you know what you have to do and not having the analysis paralysis of going, oh, well, this YouTube person says this, or this influencer says this, or this. And if you have a 30-minute plan that you can do every day, you can check that box. You may not be able to do 30 minutes at first. That's okay. You will get there. And sometimes I call it the embrace the suck moment. It's like you don't want to do it, but after you do it, you feel so much better.
Right. Exactly. And I recommend people sometimes, you could do push-ups off your counter while you're waiting for your coffee to get made, or, there's like little things that people can be doing while they're just like kind of like waiting around, waiting for something to get finished.
While you're brushing your teeth, while you're on, if you're on a conference call, you can walk around, put your headset on and start walking around. There's a lot of things that you can do that's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, things that you can do to just keep your body moving. And we all know, physics, a body in motion tends to stay in motion, a body at rest tends to stay in rest. So the more that you can move, the more you can lubricate your joints, the better. And once again, it does not have to be leave it all on the floor to exhaustion. You can be very gentle with your body and still get good results.
Yeah. And nobody could ever tell me that you can sit all day and then when you get up, you're not feeling completely achy. I mean, there's a reason. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, too much sitting is just really, really bad. And I believe the statistic that I've read is that you're supposed to get up every 53 minutes. Which I know for a fact a lot of people are not doing.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Apple Watch, the Apple Watch has that, to that little ding, time to stand, and that's one of the reasons. I forget what study it was, but a study that likened our issue with sitting all day to smoking, and said it was equivalent to smoking. That the fact that we don't move is causing so many other disease states to come about, just as if you were smoking, which is scary when all we have to do is stand up. And I know some people might be listening that have aches, have pains, and it may not be, you're like, well, how do I start? Once again, get somebody so that you can do what you can do. You can start somewhere.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. I think that, by doing nothing, you're actually doing yourself more harm. And I now have my non-negotiables. Every single day that is carved out for me and my own, whether it's my mental health or my physical health, things that I have to do. Right. And I don't let anything kind of get in the way of that. And I feel like once I set that, once I decided, okay, this is my non-negotiable, it was actually really easy. You know what I mean? When you give yourself so many excuses for years about why you can't do something. And then when it becomes a priority for you, it just makes you just pave the way to make that happen for yourself.
Well, and I tell a lot of my clients is like, get a sheet of paper Monday through Saturday, Monday through Sunday, and make your checklist. And there are studies that show by doing that little check mark releases those lovely neurotransmitters, the dopamine, the serotonin, all those happy endorphins and chemicals that just by checking mark. And it's like, you're going to do it anyway, so just check it off. It feels amazing when you start seeing, especially if you have a calendar and you see those checks every day, because once again, that 1%, it will add up. It'll be amazing how you will start losing some inches, how there's one of those things like, okay, so what are we trading for when we're building muscle? And I talk to a lot of my clients, and most of us is that we can get all our grocery bags in the house in one trip. It's like, how many grocery bags can you carry in one trip? And we're doing that thing. I'm doing it so I can pick my dogs up. It's you might be doing it so you can pick your kids up or your grandkids up. It's a lot of it's functional living. How can you get stronger, and how can you prevent disease so that you can thrive in our second chapter?
Absolutely. Wow, Amy, this has been so great. So as we begin to wrap things up, if people want to find out more about you and your coaching programs and stuff, where do they go? Where do they find you?
The easiest place is actually to go to my website. It has all my socials. It's able to connect with me. So you can go to amykwilson.com. That's AMYKWILSON.com. Or if they want to schedule a call with me, they can go to callwithamy.live. And those are the easiest ways to find me.
That's awesome. Oh my God, Amy, this has been great. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, absolutely. I love spreading that we can prevent disease and that we can live our best life. We're not meant to grow old. We're not meant to get frail. We're meant to be amazing and vibrant and still productive.